Good evening, everyone. This is İskit, and you're watching What's New, What's News. As always, we are following the Turkey's agenda closely, and there is now a controversial bill about stray animals, street animals, and we will discuss this with my esteemed guest, Öykü Büyükdere, an animal rights activist. Let me invite her. Welcome, Öykü. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thanks for joining me today as we will discuss a very important subject. As now we're discussing even in the parliament now, there is a new bill draft has been ongoing over the last week, and it is very vital to talk about because government now decided to let stray animals to sleep after 30 days if they couldn't be adopted. What do you think about it, and what is your work? What do you do when it comes to animal rights activism?
Well, thanks for inviting me, first of all. The bill has not been accepted yet, fortunately, and we hope that it never will. I started working with animals about 22 years ago when I first graduated from university, when I was made aware that there are these places called shelters owned or run by municipalities. And in 2004, exactly 20 years ago, there was a law, and we were very excited about it, saying that all dogs will be neutered and spayed, and then will be released in the streets. So I remember when we were protesting for this to be done, and then the law passed. So we were hoping that it was going to be practiced, and what is now being discussed regarding what's going to happen with the animals that live in the streets, the stray dogs, wouldn't be an issue if the law was practiced since it passed 20 years ago. So what I've been doing is, rescuing one by one sometimes, because we keep running into these animals that needs to be rescued. I don't just go out and try to find animals to rescue, but sometimes I'm just I want to have dinner with my friends or something, and then I run into these animals who needs help. So this is one thing that any animal rights activist spends a lot of time and resources doing, because you just have to, because of these stray animals. And also I try to do the passionate thing by telling people about how we can deal with this. So that's what's happening.
Well, now the discussion is surrounding around actually euthanasia bill, and now government drafted bill is about stray animals, whoever be on street and in a rescue places, I would say, who are being taken care, if they won't be rescued or adopted from any kind families or individuals, then government offers then if they wouldn't be adopted in 30 days, in a month, then they will do euthanasia. How do you see this perspective? Because I think it is very dangerous, and it is it is a violation against animal rights. And what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, it's not doable. Like I live with 3 dogs. The third one I adopted because she followed us home from the street while I was walking my other 2 dogs. and I actively looked for a home for this one dog, and I do have a wide network. I very actively tried to find a home for this only one dog and couldn't, so I adopted her as well. And now it has been 2 years since we met each other. So trying to find homes for, we don't even know the number, by the way. There is this what people call problem of dogs. Like, I would like to say the dogs have problems, but people see dogs as a problem. But however you look at it, in order to analyze the problem, we need to have data, but we don't. Nobody knows how many stray dogs exist in Turkey. Nobody. Everyone assumes a number, but we assume it's maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions. So we know for sure that we cannot find homes for these dogs. That's a fact. That's something that we know. So when they say euthanasia or they say put to sleep, neither of those words actually reflect reality, because what is going to be done is they're just going to be killed. Euthanasia, by definition, is the act of putting a being, a human or an animal, to death painlessly. And it is done because there is an incurable, maybe probably a painful disease or condition. So the being is suffering, and it is done to end that suffering because we know that it's incurable. So the word euthanasia is actually not going to be what's going to happen according to this bill, if it ever passes. And put to sleep is also another word that I don't like to use, because sleep is something we do to rest. What's going to be done is killing the animals. And we actually recently had an event where in Konya, a man killed a dog with a shovel.
Yes.
And while he was killing the dog with a shovel, another man was holding the dog. And like, there were people passing by in the video. This video, somehow somebody recorded this, and it was on social media, and that's how people knew about it, and there was a court case and so on. So how are the dogs going to be killed is also another question. But aside from all of this, we don't need to even discuss these things. It's not necessary, because we know that if spaying and neutering is done, it is going to work. And the law that actually necessitated the municipalities to do so passed exactly 20 years ago, and it was never practiced. The law says it's called a CNVR model. It is catch, neuter, or spay, because spaying is for female dogs and neutering is for male dogs. I'll say neuter just for the to be more convenient. Vaccinate for rabies, basically, and then release to the place that you took the dog from. That's also very important, because dogs live in packs and they have this, we can call it a social life. So it's really important that you get the dog back to where you got it from, exactly the same place. This was never done except for only a few municipalities throughout Turkey. So if this is done, we would never need to discuss any of the things that we are discussing right now. And we also know from scientific facts that it is not going to be, even if we assumed that dogs are not sentient beings, which would be a very cruel assumption and a heartless assumption. But even if we were to assume that, we know for a fact that killing the dogs is not going to work, because there's science explaining this, that animals, when they are living in a place and then some dogs go away, they disappear because people kill them, there becomes what's called a void, which makes other animals, other dogs, come to that place and produce even more. So this was tried, like getting rid of stray animals by killing them was tried in the past many times, and it never worked. They call this spreading. The animals basically spread themselves. But by neutering and spaying and then releasing the dog to the same place, you naturally lower the population. And then at some point, by neutering all of them, add the stray population, which would make sense. However, there's also one more thing. People keep breeding dogs. Like people who live with dogs, also in villages, like people who live with their dogs in their houses or in villages in Anatolia, in so many places, it is so hard to convince people to neuter or spay their dogs. What they do is they just throw away the puppies. They don't see dogs as sentient beings. They are not aware that dogs have a central nervous system and feelings. But what they do is they keep the dog as long as the dog is useful for something, such as guarding the house is a good example, or maybe with sheep or something. If the dog has some kind of use for the humans, they keep that dog and keep having puppies and then throwing the puppies away. So unless we find a way to stop the breeding, killing dogs would not be effective at all. As I said, even if we were to make a very heartless and cruel assumption of dogs not being sentient beings.
Yes,
So-
I think in that matter, probably the municipalities have the responsibility to take care of the stray dogs, not only stray dogs, all kinds of animals when they need to be rescued or any treatment or any kind. And to be honest, even with the sterilization part of the dogs or cats, because we have a lot, even they have to do it for free with the professional vets. It never happens in Turkey, and I think this is such a problem as well. If you don't do vaccination, if you don't do sterilization, how even government could manage such thing in Turkey when the population is very high, especially with the stray animals. And how do you see, even with the adoption, it is very difficult nowadays, especially with the economically, because people cannot afford any kind of even normal puppy feed or any kind because of the high VATs. And these, isn't it? This is like a chain. The minute you open another one, that means the problem is coming constantly, and there is no solution for that. But as an animal rights activist, do you have, there is a certain solution for rescue the stray animals, and what people should really do about it rather than euthanasia bills?
Well, it would probably solve all the problems if if the municipalities start doing what they are supposed to be doing according to the law, and catching, neutering, and spaying, and releasing the dogs into the streets where they pick them up. Also, perhaps having campaigns to people, telling them that sterilizing the dogs is good for the dog, for the animal, for the community, for everyone. Because there's this, like yesterday there are protests everywhere all around the nation right now, and yes, I will go to today's protest again. Yesterday somebody came and read our signs and he said, but it's not good to spay, we shouldn't spay. So if the law were to pass, it says collect all the dogs and kill them, but there's no article in this law that talks about not breeding. So what's going to happen? Are we going to keep breeding dogs, repopulating, killing, repopulating, killing? Is that what we're going for? I mean, how could this be effective? How could this be ethically acceptable? how could this be something that people are okay with? The good news is people are not okay with this bill at all. There are so many celebrities, religious people like
Public
imams.
figures.
Yeah, so many, like veterinarian association made an announcement. There's so much content out there telling everyone that this is not acceptable, this cannot pass, we will never let our stray dogs be killed. So there's this huge movement against this law. So hopefully it's not going to pass, and we will find a more compassionate way to deal with what's called the problem. And I do agree that there's a problem, by the way. I have neutered and spayed so many animals, but according to the law, this was supposed to be done with the taxes that I pay by the municipality. I live with 3 dogs, all of which came from the streets. I spayed all of them, and I've been spaying and neutering dogs for the last 21, 22 years myself in clinics. So you see the problem, like this is what we should be doing. I have never fed an animal regularly and not spayed that dog because I know that there might, I mean, if the dog is not spayed, there will be puppies and there will be so many more animals to rescue. What these people who are like pro killing, I'll say, they're like, it's okay to kill the animals. I wonder what they have done to decrease the population of animals. So we need to think about this both wisely, rationally, and also obviously compassionately, because these are not apples that we are talking about.
Yeah,
and why would we produce apples and throw them away either? But these are sentient beings we are talking about. So it's not a huge problem if the lawmakers understand the problem, what's going on, what is not being practiced, and how it can easily be solved by just practicing the law that passed 20 years ago, basically.
Yes, and there is another discussion, of course, about the stray dogs, especially when it comes to families, when the non-vaccinated dogs, when they attack to children, especially, this is of course, this is dangerous and a very important issue as well. And I think there should be a balance in between, rescuing dogs and finding a solution without killing them, basically.
Yeah, sure.
But however, on the other hand, some organizations cannot balance it, and that's why there are many discussions and polarization in between activists and also other people who would like to rescue the stray animals. How do you see that problem, and how would be? I mean, I'm not against it, but sometimes it can be a little bit radical and not seeing others' problem as well, because this is obviously a problem too.
Sure.
So how do you see that? How can be balanced and come to maybe a mutual
Solution.
point of view to find this all together in solidarity, you think?
What happened to any human being that got injured because of a dog, directly or indirectly, is horrible. It never should have happened. It should not happen. Like, some people are polarizing what they call animal rights activists and other people by saying that animal rights activists are okay with people getting injured or killed, which is not true at all, obviously. Of course not. So this is actually a fallacy. It is called a false dichotomy, saying that you either want to save the animals or humans. That's not true. We can save everyone. Nobody needs to get injured. Nobody needs to be killed. That's something we need to understand. And in most of those cases, what happened was a child, in the cases that the media use a lot, was running away from a dog and got hit by a vehicle, a truck, in I think 2 of those cases. So this has a few parts, I would say. First of all, that dog shouldn't be there because it was supposed to be neutered and spayed a few generations ago, first of all. And then because of these news, and nobody is talking about how you should approach a dog or what you should do when you see a dog. But there's all these news about how dogs are basically monsters. So when somebody sees a dog, they start running away, which is the last thing you should do when you see a dog, because dogs have chasing instincts. And if you start running away from a dog, the dog will chase you. And then it's absurdly horrible that somebody would run away from a dog and then got hit by a truck, being like another human being is driving, and then the whole thing is the dog's fault. The whole thing is actually, first of all, the municipality's fault that the dog is there, because they were supposed to be spayed and neutered. And then seriously, like, there's all this discussion about dogs for the last few years. Basically, for the last 2 years or so, the dog issue has been on the media a lot. In the last week, this bill thing is new, but for the last 2 years, it has been discussed a lot. But nobody talks about what you should do when you see dogs, or nobody talks about why you should spay and neuter your animals or the animals in the streets. But those are the solutions. Those are the solutions, not killing the animals. And as I said, even if the dogs were not sentient beings, killing the dogs, proven by past experience and explained by science, is not the solution to get rid of stray dogs.
I think that the basic and the vital decision and the responsibility is coming from, especially from the municipalities, for sure. Because if they don't vaccinate the dogs, at least, then this unfortunate incidents will continue to happen. And secondly, of course, there are a lot of responsibilities on government side as well, but I believe it's not the solution of letting the stray dogs, especially letting them to sleep or euthanasia them is another problem, because they don't have any health issues. They're not terminally ill dogs, but hopefully I want to be optimist on this case, especially after having this public awareness a lot too. Well, Öykü, now we're coming to the closure part. Is there anything you would like to add more? Any announcement, any kind of invitation for the maybe the protest or anything like that?
There will be a big protest on the 2nd of June. I think the biggest one is going to be in Istanbul. I know people going to Istanbul from different cities just for the protest, but it is going to be demonstrated in other big cities as well, like Ankara, Izmir, Antalya, and so on. So that's one thing where you can go and just tell the government that it's not okay to kill dogs. We can find compassionate solutions to this problem. So that's an announcement I would like to make. And we just need to remember that killing another sentient being in masses is neither effective nor ethically acceptable.
Thanks for joining me today, Öykü. Thanks for letting us know and enlighten us about this problem, because I think it is important to be discussed, and some of the mayors giving some examples, especially from the European side. But it was centuries ago when they did it, and it is not the case now when you have all the technology, all the digital world, all the kind of solutions. So I'm taking side for this situation as well. I think we won't let the animals to be killed. I think it
The
is
compassion side.
Yes.
We don't want anyone to be injured or killed. Humans, dogs, animals, any kind of animals. But humans are animals too, so we don't want anyone to be injured, and I'm sure we can find better solutions for this problem.
Thank you, Öykü. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, yes, it is a huge discussion and a controversy happening in this case now, and hopefully this bill won't be accepted in the parliament. I am clear for that. As a journalist, as a having a kind of point of view for human being, nobody should deserve to be killed, and nobody should be witnessed this massacre. So please, please, please be aware of this situation, and please do whatever you can do to support the dogs and the animals, the stray animals. Rescue is the solution. Maybe helping animals, taking to them vet to get their proper treatment is another solution. Please be aware of that. They have their feelings, they have their hearts, they're breathing as well. This is not like something that you're just using a glass or something. Please be aware of that. Well, we came to an end for this YouTube live debate. On Friday, we will come up with another subject to talk. I would like to remind again, please do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel, liking my videos. I appreciate when you do that. And please share your thoughts with me. Write your comments. I'm reading individually all of them and taking it very seriously. Till then, have a lovely week. We will meet on Friday. Till then, bye-bye.